Welcome to the Get Real with King Arthur show. In the first day of August.
Yay!
And we have a special guest today. Probably the only reason we got him is that he is our Queen Victoria's brother. She thinks he is something wonderful. And I know all about that because my sisters, Sarah and Donna, have far too elevated opinion of me than I ought. But we're glad that he's here. In any case, he just asked me what we were to talk about, and there's so many things we could talk about, but I said I would like first talking about counseling. I start off with a little story. For 10 summers, I taught at a prep school in Maine. And one of those summers, I was not only teacher, but also head resident. So I had to make sure that the boys made their beds and swept the floor. So one of the boys wrote a paper describing me. And here's how he described me. He said, Dr. Siemens comes into the room suggesting this and suggesting that, and he walks around the room and speaks to each of us, do this and do that, and he walks out giving advice. So I am prone to give advice, but I'm very eager to know how to do it better, and probably sometimes to keep my mouth shut. But I am very trying to read some books on psychology. Right now I'm into right brain, left brain, and whatnot. But I'd like to know how you perform your counseling. First, what is your official title?
By the state, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. And at my work, my title there is bilingual staff counselor and clinical supervisor.
I couldn't remember all those well. Okay, you got it. Well, I don't know whether you're a Freudian or Jungian or I don't know what. I don't know how you counsel and what. I'm just wondering.
Yeah. I could tell you a little bit about my history in respect to wanting to learn psychology. So I went to Point Loma, Nazarene University, and was initially very more interested in philosophy. And
let me insert. You had some wonderful teachers.
Yeah.
Eugene Mallory, Kim Schaefer, Mike Leffel, Keith Holly, and they were all great teachers. I suppose you had some of those and others.
Yes. Mike Leffel was my, what is it called? He was my assigned advisor. Thank you.
Advisor.
Yeah. He was awesome, and I really enjoyed his classes. I forget their last name, but some really, really amazing professors there. Yeah, very great experience. So when I was there, I really enjoyed learning about philosophy and theology, and that was really how I think originally I was looking at my own psychology, how I could best take care of myself and other people. But I didn't see a lot of practical application with philosophy or theology. So that's naturally why I kind of leaned into psychology. I started to see, here's like a more precise setting to help people, right? At least in my mind, was to kind of talk them through what they believed or what they thought. And so I naturally kind of gravitated toward psychology.
Well, are you one of those that you go into the office and they say, talk, and they just sit and listen?
No. So that sounds more like maybe classical, like Freudian psychoanalysis,
Yeah.
where there's a lot of free association and just talk. I would say, so I've always loved some of Freud's ideas. I think, I naturally believe that our relationships are so important and they create really lasting effects on our lives, and I started to think about that in respect to my primary caregivers, like, my grandma, my dad, my mom, and how they impacted my life. So I learned about Freudian theory and thought that, it sort of confirmed some of those natural beliefs, but it wasn't until I was introduced to a type of therapy that is informed by psychoanalysis called experiential dynamic psychotherapy.
Oh, okay. Experiential dynamic therapy. Okay, well, explain that.
So, yeah, the theory is really based, like I said, in Freudian psychoanalysis, where our primary attachments really bring up, kind of create a template in our life. And that template usually ends up affecting us way later in life. And in Freudian terms, we have all of these defenses that we learn early on, and then we carry them, up into our adulthood and later.
I suppose if you were counseling me, you would know or make something of the fact that my father drowned when I was 2 years old.
Oh,
and
wow.
so I grew up without a father, though I had eventually a wonderful stepfather.
Mm.
But you'd make something of that, right?
Absolutely, yeah, that would definitely inform something in your upbringing and how, you oriented yourself to your relationships, how you understood yourself. All of that, I really think those stories have such a huge impact on who we become later in life.
Another fact about me, when my father was a pastor, and my mother was very interested in church work, so interested that she brought her high school sister in to take care of me. And so I have favored aunts, and I had trouble relating to my mother. I wonder if I felt rejected when I was single. Well, I can't. They're going to compliment me. But anyway,
we all have that. We all have these stories, right? Like we all have our childhood that we get to reflect on. Like I think when we go into a therapist, sometimes we think, oh, this person has maybe worked through all of their difficulties or something like that. But a lot of therapists, I think, go into the field because they're struggling with their own stories, right?
That's the accusation.
Yeah. Yeah. At least for me, right? Like I'll speak personally for myself. I definitely went into the field wondering, how can I better help myself? And so in that way, my clients have actually helped me so much as well, as I've helped them walk through their stories and their journeys.
So you ask your clients to talk about their childhood?
Not outright. The therapy I do is very active, so I'm constantly pointing out things that are happening kind of in the room with me. So, and then from that angle, we can start to see, oh, there's, how did this come about, and oftentimes we'll start to look at the roots of their behavior, and slowly kind of understand those stories.
Now, do they come in usually identifying a problem?
Not always. Sometimes it's very hard for clients to identify, what's going on. A lot of clients have been trained by people, in their life to not look at themselves, to kind of, in a way, reject their inner life. And so, I start, to help them very gently, very carefully to turn inward.
What brings them to the counselor?
It can be so many different things. Oftentimes it's like a relationship, like it can be, something, in their immediate family or their partnerships.
Something's amiss.
Something's amiss, or it can even, oftentimes it's like something in their body is just telling them. It can be like, I've been having a lot of anxiety, or, I've been having this sensation in my throat or in my, our symptoms can manifest in our body a lot of times. And so they don't always know exactly what's going on, but they know something in their intuition is telling them, it's maybe get some help with this.
So you believe in therapy that you're to go back and relive their crises, that sort of thing?
In a sense, yeah, we won't. That's the therapy I do. There's so many different ways to approach it. The therapy I do, it definitely tries to help people relive difficult experiences, but in a corrective way, in a way that feels autonomous, in a way that feels integrative and approachable and safe to them. Yeah, so that can take a long time to start to build that, those inner skills,
Well, for example, I believe, I don't know whether this would, I think I examine myself, I think I do, that I felt a lot of insecurity in life because of my absent father. So how would I approach that? So if I came to you as a counselor and said, I often feel insecure with many things, interpersonal relationship and with God.
Yeah.
So how would I work around that?
Yeah.
An issue.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that with me, Art. I really appreciate that. I think in a therapy context, it'd be important to find out, like, okay, how is that becoming a problem? How do your insecurities manifest? And then from there, kind of getting really specific so that you can understand some of the driving forces behind it. What I believe in the therapy I do theorizes and has a lot of evidence for is that our emotions are usually what drive a lot of the other psychological forces in our lives, like anxiety or defenses, coping mechanisms. And that's not to say that all defenses or anxiety is bad, but it's good for us to start to build an awareness of the driver of our of what's going on inside us. And we usually see it's feelings, emotions that propel us to do things, that inform us of our own experience.
So you would have long-term therapy?
Sometimes, it really depends. It's very case by case. But I guess in your case, it sounds like you have a lot of awareness and that you have a curiosity to do something with that. That could be short term, depends on your goals, depends on, I've been in therapy for almost like 10 years and I still, no, maybe longer. And I still see a benefit, things get reactivated and I have to rework things and improve and edify the way that I see myself. It's a constant work, but there's certainly short-term models, long-term models. I like to do as much as possible in a therapy session so that people can get the most out of their
I really am
time.
not trying to get free counseling. But one thing that
Yeah.
I have nightmares.
Yeah.
And here's well, I just had one the other night. It's the first day of class in my last year teaching, and I was only teaching one comp class. But I had a hard time getting a ride to school, and I didn't know somehow which class I was to teach. And so I went around the building, poking my head in each class to see if that was the right class.
Mm-hmm.
And frustrated because I didn't know where they were. Somehow I didn't get the information.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or I dreamed that although I got my PhD
Mm-hmm.
clear, they gave me the PhD, but told me I need to change a number of things, and that I need to get busy and change those things, which is totally untrue. I think that reflects my insecurity somehow. Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, dreams are also really like revelatory in respect to what we're experiencing or kind of themes in our life. You know, I've definitely, like, my dad hasn't always been there for me, and that created a lot of confusion around my own identity. So I kind of resonate with what you're saying, you know, or maybe potentially a theme in your dream that it can, when you don't have that consistency, you know, you question who you are, you question where you're supposed to go, right?
Yeah, you know, I'm getting free counseling. But what was it? I'm getting old.
That's okay. Take your time.
See, along that line of insecurity, I felt when I was growing up that I lived in a world I didn't understand. And I said, "What? Something's wrong with me. Something. I just don't fit anywhere." And when I started majoring in literature at Eastern Michigan College, it was as if 100 hands came out of the darkness. And I said, "Oh, I'm not alone. Other people have these feelings. Whatnot."
Totally. Yes. That's really beautiful. You found like a home in literature in a way.
Oh man, I went crazy, wild. I never have lost my
Yeah.
enthusiasm. No.
Wow. Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's incredible how writers and poets can really put words to our humanity.
right. That's a good way to put it. Well, I guess I'm getting free therapy, but I'm curious about how to be a better counselor, because I willy-nilly, like most people, I'm in situations where I'm counseling all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, the interesting thing is that it's our field has been sort of commoditized. You see, you know, a lot of commercials for therapy, and really what therapy is like being a really good listener, and that doesn't mean you have to go and get a psychology degree, right? Like my hope would be that, you know, all of us would become better listeners so that my field could be extinct. That would be wonderful. That would be ideal. But unfortunately, we live in a world where people have not been trained to listen, and that skill has actually been repressed by, you know, different societal forces, in my opinion. And so I totally understand. It sounds like you've kind of taken up that role in different ways in your life.
I fear that I'm a perpetual teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, but good and bad, because I'm always got solutions to problems, and I better ought to listen more, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
not offer solutions left and right.
Mm-hmm.
And but I want to be a better counselor because I'm doing it all the time, and that's one reason I was so eager to talk with you. I should want to be a better.
Yeah.
Because right now. Next Monday we are doing. I met a writer a week ago at the conference in Massachusetts, the Writers Conference, and I'm giving him a lot of counseling. And anyway, I want to be a better counselor.
Yeah.
How do I become a better counselor?
I'd say, it sounds like you are a good listener, like especially when you can take all the concepts from literature, everything I think, all the study that you've done, I'm sure you can apply it to understanding the depth of someone's, experience, right?
Yeah.
And I think therapy is really about just letting someone know that you see their humanity. It's not necessarily about going in and fixing, but there's something about just being seen, about being understood, about something, really resonating about your reflection towards someone. Like, I read this poem that really reminded me of you, or...
I said to him, he's gotten quite a few awards for it. He's an environmentalist. And, but I said to him, has anyone told you that you're in the line of a kind of a therapist along with the writer of Walden, Henry David Thoreau, and he said, I said, have not people told you that? He said, never. And I was, well, it was exciting to tell him that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It sounds like you're mentoring him.
Well, sometimes perhaps too much. Anyway.
Yeah, that's incredible. It sounds like that had an impact on him, and that.
Well, he wrote a nice thing in my book. Victoria read it to me about that I'd encouraged him and whatnot. But
yeah.
I understand that you work at the LGBTQ whatever. And I wanted to ask you a question about that. About one of the last summers of teaching, I taught summer school. And I was teaching English literature, which I love. Anyway, and I had a student. I can see him now. He was the spark of the class. He was filled with joy and loved the literature, and he just was the light of the class. I just thought every time I saw him, joy. In the fall, they told me he drove his car over the railroad tracks, held up his hands.
Oh, wow.
And they told me that he was struggling over his sexual orientation.
Oh, yeah.
And there was no way I could help him, because in writing I always see my students, but if they're doing poorly in a literature class, I would call them in to help them, but he didn't need any help. And he didn't seek me for counseling. There was no reason to do it. But I'm wondering if you would have been able to help him somehow.
Yeah. That's really sad. Yeah, it happens often, more often than, yeah, incredibly sad.
And the president at the funeral would go through the lunch line, and this guy would say, "You pass, we'll pass," and smiled, and the president got a kick out of it. And so he said, well, in heaven, God would say, "You pass." But anyway, I believe that you're working with people who are under a lot of unusual stress.
Yes, absolutely. They are the community that I work with, LGBT queer people. They are facing so much discrimination and have been for a very long time. It's incredibly difficult work because of the environments that they have to go back into. You know, like we can do a lot of work together, but often all of it gets re-triggered, or sometimes it's really hard to work through.
They have to face family.
Yeah.
They have to face, church. They have, or whatever religious organization they're in. They have to face society. Whatever.
Yeah.
And now I think I've heard that they do not want to be pitied for it, and yet I think they all struggle.
Yes. Yeah, I think. Well, I think part of the frustration that the community feels is that there sometimes folks outside of the community may have pity, but there's no follow through and action, and so I think our community really wants to see more action, more to help the community.
Well, they are in my sister's church and brother-in-law. A young college student wrote everybody a letter, and he said, I'm at Olivet Nazarene University. And he talked about being a preacher, and he said, I have to face that I am sexually oriented to other men. Will you accept me? It was so.
Wow.
Will you accept me?
Yeah.
And my sister and brother-in-law they didn't know what to do.
Oh, wow.
In fact, my brother-in-law said crazy.
Oh.
But I can't handle that sort of thing. I have no idea.
Yeah.
More about him, whatnot, whatever.
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, it's a universal struggle, right? That the conflict of being accepted and being ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
When I get this free counseling here. I had 3 brothers, 1 full, 2 stepbrothers, and my full brother and one of the stepbrothers, Herbert. We played together all the time, and I peddled papers. I didn't do anything in high school. I had no academic problems. I was totally out of it. And when I went to Eastern Nazarene College, suddenly I felt I could be myself. For example, when I went to a new school in 8th grade, about 6 guys came over to the house and said, "Come on, go to the movies with us." Well, in those days, Nazarenes didn't go to movies.
Oh, yeah.
And so that cut that off right off.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, and so I had this cocoon at Eastern Nazarene College. I mean, I just thrived there.
Yeah.
And then I went in the Army. And I thought, what am I going to do? How can I relate? You know, I was thinking old high school days. But it was all different. The guys in the Army were great. You know, anyway, I don't, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. It really, our community is so important. And oftentimes, like, you know, therapy gets boiled down to, you know, our parents or something like that. But really, there's so much more than that. Our relationships go far beyond our family. They go to our, like you said, our churches, our communities, our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we can experience all types of conflicts with those, in those different settings. So,
when we went to, took basic at Port Dix, New Jersey. And all the recruits, one afternoon, went to the Post Theater. And a man announced himself as a speaker. He said, I am the camp psychologist.
Oh, wow.
And he said, I'll see you if you need help. But he said, I'm going to give you 2 words of advice. If you follow them, you won't be in to see me. So we're waiting. What 2 words of advice? First, gripe. Don't hold in your frustration, gripe. And the second one was laugh. And did we ever do both?
That's great advice. That's incredible advice. Yeah. I love that. I really do. I was thinking, like, I think we're just so full of contradictions.
True.
So one of, I guess, as advice that I like to give is to pay attention to those contradictions, to live in them, to allow them.
And realize that we have them, right?
Yeah.
That had all my life has bothered me because are you a hypocrite or what?
Yeah.
I love, I'm a great lover of hymns, and I love these words. Fightings and fears within, without. O Lord, Lamb of God, I come. Fightings and fears within, without.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, that's life, a constant fight for ourselves to be who we really are.
Right.
Yeah.
And anyway, to accept oneself, I guess.
Yeah, I had to do that when I came out of when I came out as gay too, at Point Loma Nazarene. That was well, not just there, but in high school, and yeah, that was a huge conflict that I faced within myself. Do I want to be who I really am?
Well, how did the college treat you when you came out?
You know, they were pretty quiet. I think they didn't say much at all, either positive or negative. I think I got more backlash from some of my peers, but there was a small group of people there that were incredibly accepting and that became my community, and they really helped me find meaning in all of that.
Well, the college and the church, Nazarene Church and others churches, they say that they are rigid in the sense they say no sex outside marriage, but they are not sniffing out sexual deviancy or anything like that. They're not looking to whatever. Is that your experience?
Yeah, they did ask, I think, I believe when I applied to the school, they asked whether or not, like, what my sexual orientation
They
was.
did?
I believe they asked, or like they were filtering out, and
Really?
I believe so.
I never heard of such a thing.
Maybe I'm wrong. I just remember that
Oh,
I had to write in there if I felt that I was going to fully abide by, their doctrine.
I would like to know
Yeah.
more about that, because I think that's totally inappropriate.
I think so too. It was so long ago but I do remember feeling uncomfortable and feeling like, okay, well, I want to go to college, and I didn't really know much about college at all. My parents didn't go, and so I just wanted to go, and I just pressed okay, and but then when I got there, obviously it was different. I had to grapple with reality and who I really am, and I also wanted folks to know that it was possible to live a life as a gay person and believe in God, and I had done a lot of internal work at that point to
I'm trying to think of the Catholic theologian I like a lot, who's a writer and spiritual counselor, and I can't think of his name. He Becky in the religion department, good friends with her father. She and her husband, Dr. Christensen's son, were disciples of his. And he was gay, and eventually worked at a place where crippled and severely damaged people were. But anyway, I can't think of his name. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I do too much of the talking.
No, that's okay. It's your show, Art.
Oh, I know, but they hear me a lot. What advice did you give to people? Oh, you're giving advice, so I'm...
Advice?
Yes. To the people who listen. You never know. I don't know the Queen, your sisters told you, that a lot of people don't listen much to Get Rid of King Arthur, but poke their head in. She's able to take snippets out of the program. And the total of people repeats and whatnot is 50,000.
Oh, wow. 50,000. That's incredible.
It is. So you've got an audience.
Okay. I got to put my Instagram handle here, too.
What would you say to everybody?
Oh, wow. The pressure's on. Let me see.
Say the pressure's on. We're in a great time of tension and upset and whatnot. I could get off on that, but I won't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think I've been really sitting with this idea of living in the contradictions of my own life, of other people's lives. And I think we build this kind of muscle to tolerate complexity when we start to notice the sort of the opposing kind of forces in ourselves, in our psyche, in our soul. And so in that way, I would recommend. I always recommend, especially to my clients, to journal, to meditate. Even if they can on a walk, or like allow themselves a little bit more space to think about their inner life.
Would you recommend psychology books or just keeping self-examination?
Yeah, I mean, psychology books can definitely help. Yeah, but I think we actually have, like, people actually have a intuitive sense of how to look within themselves. And sometimes, we think we have to like depend on a psychology book or some guru or someone outside of us, but I always try to encourage, my clients or my friends to do that work within themselves, that they're actually very capable people. And
did you have Dr. McKinney?
No,
literature?
Maybe.
Did you read the Brothers Karamazov?
No, but I had that recommended.
Well,
is it good? Yeah.
Father Zazima in the book says, above all else, don't lie to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you're saying
it's beautiful.
You can meditate and discover yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So by
Yeah.
not lying to yourself.
Yeah, first, right, recognizing the lies that we do tell ourselves. There's actually an incredible book that I recommend to my clients. It's called The Lies We Tell Ourselves.
Oh,
yeah, it's an incredible book.
Okay, Victoria, get that, Queen Victoria, get that. We gotta get it.
Yeah, that's written by John Fredrickson, who trained me for about a year.
What kind of lies do we tell ourselves?
Oh gosh, there's so many kind of lies. It could be as little as like I don't have to. Well, I don't know. Like I don't have to accept myself. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like that could be a kind of a lie, right? I mean it's true, we don't have to, but it's a way that we sort of con ourselves out of doing the thing that I think we're here to do, so there's subtle ways that we do
I was going to talk to you about guilt, but we already have imposed on you in your lunchtime.
No. What do you want to know about guilt?
Well,
yeah,
I have a lot of it.
Okay.
And
same.
I have. Here's how my mind runs often. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Oh
coulda,
gosh.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yes, you're shitting yourself all day.
Yeah. Yes.
Same. And
probably a lot of it is genuine, that I really could have done better, or or
sure. It's I think so, for sure. For me too, I feel that the anxiety about the things that I've done in my past, and the things that I'd like to do differently.
Take this. When I was in Bethlehem in Israel, I'm trying to catch the bus back to Jerusalem. And this boy was grabbing my arm, and I kind of was pushing him away. And someone said to me, he's only trying to help you, tell you which bus to take.
Oh, wow.
And that has haunted me all my life.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
What a thing to do,
It's a really beautiful image, though, of a child, trying to lead you in life.
Yeah.
It's kind of reflective of our inner child, right? The part of us that's sort of guiding us through life.
But anyhow, we have spent our time, and I appreciate your taking the time for lunch. And we must end, but will you promise to come back sometime?
Of course. Yeah, I would love to. I really enjoyed this. Thank you, Arthur.
Santi, thank you so much. And react to what Santi's been telling us.
Yes.
We need more feedback, so give us feedback.
Yes.
Okay.
Please like this video.
Happy August.